Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the SmoovePlayz podcast. I'm Austin, aka Austin Plays, joined by Dean, aka Mr. Smooth, and it's Monday, which means we got Monday Night Football. First, I mean, before we get into it, we actually have two Monday Night Football games we're going to talk about, but we're specifically going to be talking about our first one here. We got the Tampa Bay Bucks going into Houston and playing the Houston Texans. Dean, how we feeling?
I'm feeling great, my friend. How are you feeling? How
I
you
mean,
feeling?
I'm
Um,
feeling good, man. I mean, what are your thoughts on the on those Sunday games?
the Sunday games were crazy. It was a great slate. We had some plays that we've never seen before. I mean, guys touching the ball on the kickoff and teams just picking it up in the end zone. 60-yard
Talking
kick,
specifically about your Steelers, of course.
uh, 60, what was it? 64-yard kicks to send games in OT. Russell Wilson going in a time machine,
Yeah, well,
400.
what is going on? I mean, look, I know this isn't like a recap video, but for Giants fans, I think you have a right to be, you know, I would be okay losing that game the way you did because yeah, the offense looked great.
I mean, he had 450. He had a career high in passing
Career
yards.
high game. It literally did not have a Russell Wilson legacy game on my bingo card.
I didn't. But all right, let's get into these Monday games. It should be a matchup. Two playoff teams last year and two teams that people expect to be playoff teams this year. I would think so. With the Texans and the Bucks. I think one point I will make early in this game and what the Texans need to do to win is they need to protect CJ Stroud better.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Um, I'd get, and you mentioned both these teams being playoff teams. I do think that, the preseason expectation is that both these teams definitely are playoff teams. I think Houston going in was the odds-on favorite to win the division. And I look, I'm not gonna lie. I think the Indianapolis Colts playing the way that they are right now it honestly could add fuel to the Houston Texans and make them play better because they got some pressure if they want to win the division, I think, from Indianapolis.
Yeah, no, I agree. And also, like you said, they're playing well. The Texans know that they can't fall to 0-2. The Colts are now 2-0. So you do not want to fall into that 0-2 hole. Um, what do you think the Bucks have to do here to go snag a win in Houston?
Well, I think the biggest thing for the Bucks is going to be honestly, I feel like it might be a little bit similar to what the game plan was in Atlanta. You gotta stop the run. All right, you can't let Nick Chubb get going. And the Bucks did really well against Atlanta last week, stopping the run. If they can do that, and like you said, get after CJ Stroud, I think that defensively they're going to be okay. Offensively, though, I think we don't have to change a whole lot either. I think offensively we are missing both tackles in this one, so that is something to take note of. But offensively, I think it's just going to be more so executing plays. I mean, I mentioned Baker didn't have the greatest game in our Sunday slate episode. He missed a few throws. I just feel like Baker, he he's just got to hit. He's just got to limit the the errant throws, I think, and just execute better, and I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, well, a part of that, like you said, maybe could be their tackles being out. You know, he just feels more pressure than usual. And also, we saw that Falcons defensive line last night have, I think, 6 sacks on JJ McCarthy, so they might be pretty solid. But I have a this I randomly thought of this before we started recording, and it's not really about this game, and you don't even have to really answer because it's a tough question, but I need to ask, when is the last Ohio State receiver that got drafted like high that hasn't panned out? Who is the last wide receiver that hasn't panned out? Because bless you,
Thank you.
Luke is already off to a great start after his week one, two
Yeah,
touchdowns.
yeah. I mean, maybe like a Ted Ginn or something. Like,
And he
honestly,
was still, and Ted Ginn was still in the league for like what, 12
yeah,
years? Like,
yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't think he's necessarily a bad receiver by any means, but he's definitely more of a special team specialist and was dominant in college at wide receiver, did not so much in the NFL. So I would probably say Ted Ginn is
Okay.
is probably the last time we saw something like that.
Okay, I like that. Yeah, no, I was just thinking about that. Like these guys, Ohio State just produces them, man. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, but what do you think about this game in Tampa? I mean, they're underdogs, so they're not expected to win this game. So what do they need to do?
I mean, like you said, Godwin being out and the tackles being out worries me a little bit. Like we know this Texans defense is a good unit led by with D'Amico Ryan there. D'Amico Ryan, sorry. And I think that they're going to be able to get pressure on Baker. That's one thing that Houston has to do. Same thing we said about the Bucks. One thing I am worried about with the Texans is who is going to be that guy behind Nico Collins. I know they got Dalton Schultz, who I like. And he's, a veteran who's reliable. But I'm just talking about receivers. Tank Dell's out. I mean, Christian Kirk's out. Like, we know these guys aren't playing. So you have two rookies with Jalen Noel and Jaden Higgins, who you both, drafted in the second and third round, I believe. Um, I just want to see one of those guys step up. And I know it's only their second career game. So it's putting, a lot on their plate. But I'm worried about this Texans offense if teams can just focus on Nico Collins, especially with Joe Mixon being out, and now their running back is Nick Chubb.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like if you're Tampa, you got to kind of look at it. Obviously, not in the same aspect, but if you go back to our Super Bowl against Kansas City when we played the Chiefs, it was Patrick Mahomes, who at the time was the best quarterback in the league. Not saying CJ Stroud's the best quarterback in the league, but he's a good quarterback. Um, if we can stop the run and then get them into passing situations and take away their number one wide receiver and Nico Collins, and then limit their tight end Dalton Schultz and force these other guys to beat you. I think that's a good recipe for us, at least defensively. So I hear you, and it is going to be very dependent on guys like Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel, who which guy is going to step up in the big moment. What about Houston? You mentioned, dealing with this offensive struggle and us talking about that being one of the keys for the Bucks. Do you think that there's any way like Houston can use that to kind of flip the narrative and maybe that be a weapon for them to win the game? I mean, because they are favored in the game. They're favored, whether it's just because they're at home, who knows? But they are expected to win this game, at least in terms of Vegas.
I actually think they're rightfully favored. Only because of the Bucks injuries. I think like Tristan Wirfs is not a normal, like he's one of the best tackles in the league. And he opens, I mean, we saw last week, and credit to the Falcons because again, their defensive line played well, but Bucky Irving's been an efficient runner so far in his career, and he did not have a good game last week. Um, so that's another thing the Bucks need to get going against Houston. I think Houston's going to be able to stop the run. I actually like Houston in this game. I don't know about you, but not just the tackles, Godwin, McMillan, like the Bucks are injured early. And also they're on their second, I mean, they're opening up the season with back-to-back road games. And the Texans are going to be desperate because we know what that 0-2 hole is. And so I think Houston can win this game. Yeah, I think Houston's my pick.
All right. Well, I guess we're getting into the picks early, and I'm all right with that. I look at Houston, right, and I definitely think that the tackles being out is a very, very big deal for the Bucks. I mean, anytime you go in to a game, you're missing two offensive linemen of your two of your starting offensive linemen, let alone both being tackles. So definitely something that your opponent should be trying to take advantage of. And they got two very, very good edge rushers in Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter. And I think that it's going to be tough. You're going to have guys like K-Dot and Bucky Irving or Rashad White, whoever is in there, probably have to, throw in chips and help out because I don't know if they're going to be able to last against the two, top tier I don't want to say they're both top tier, but they're both good edge rushers in their in getting at the passer. So I think you definitely need to try and help out and limit those two guys as much as possible and just make Baker's job easier. And the biggest way is going to just be by, like you said, getting Bucky Irving going. But if the Houston can stop the run and get Tampa into passing situations, I think that Tampa is going to really struggle if they're in long down yardage situations.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree because that's just time for those edge rushers to feed. If it's, third and long. And like I said, Baker is going to be under more pressure than usual, I feel like. And I don't know. I like Houston. Who's your pick for the game then? I like that breakdown, but who you picking?
I do think that Houston matches up well with Tampa, but at the same time, I think I look at this Tampa team, and we were saying like neither one of us picked them to win week one, and one of us is already not picking Tampa here in week two. When with like I'm not trying to discredit Houston in any way, but I feel and I don't know this 100%, but for me, I feel like the reason why people would lean towards the Texans is because the injury situation. But we've already seen Tampa with the same narrative going into a game against a supposed to be a good defense and be good. So who's to say they can't do it again? And I think they can. I think that Tampa is gonna end up winning this game, and you can call it a homer pick if you want. I don't really care. I truly believe that Tampa is going to win this game, and I'm gonna throw this out there as an early prediction. But look, Tampa, I think is gonna be in the NFC Championship at least this season because
Wow.
I mean. Look, if they can, especially after this week, if they can start the year off 2-0 with the injuries that they have, what do you think they're going to do whenever they get guys back and are healthy?
Yeah, that's a good point. I would argue I won't call it a homer pick because I would argue that the Bucks are just the better team against the Texans. But I just don't like the spot with back-to-back road games open up the year and all the injuries they have, as you said.
Yeah,
But I like that. I like that bold take because, like you said, they could potentially be 2-0 with two of their top four weapons out and their two starting tackles. So
yeah. And then yeah, and like you said, I mean, I haven't seen enough from Houston to make me believe in this Houston team yet.
yeah. No, that's fair. The offense definitely worries me. Like I said, I'm worried about that second option behind Nico Collins and also just the running game in general. Like you don't want Nick Chubb as your lead guy at this stage in his career. And I know they got Ngumbawala who plays maybe more snaps than Chubb, but he's not, he's a receiving running back. Like he's a guy who you're going to throw it to out of the backfield. So I don't know if Houston what they have to do in that situation. I know they got Damian Pierce still, but I am a little bit worried about this Texans offense.
All right. Well, we are on opposite ends of the spectrum here on this first Monday night game. Um, who do you got scoring a touchdown tonight? Let's hear it. I know you want to I know you were wanting to talk about it and get an answer. So, I mean, who's your pick to find the end zone here on Monday night in Houston?
You know, it's normally I'm going for bold picks, but I'm not going to go for a bold one. I think it's going to be I don't know if I'm going to do Nick Chubb or Damian Pierce, but it's going to be a Houston running back. I think they're gonna run one in. Actually, no, that is not true. Yeah, it's Nico Collins. It's Nico Collins, my friend. It's Nico Collins all the way. Touchdown. He might score the first touchdown
All right.
tonight.
Hey, I mean, yeah, Nico Collins, I like it. I think that this is a Bucks secondary that is definitely shaky. As I say,
Yeah.
300 yards to Michael Penix, definitely shaky. Um, I mean, I look at I'm looking at Tampa to score, and I mean, a guy who is a very, very well-known red zone threat and future Hall of Famer, the greatest to ever do it. I'm definitely taking Mike Evans to find the end zone. He didn't find the end zone in week one. He's gonna find the end zone in week two. And Baker's gonna be looking to get him the ball early because he had 5 catches for 51 yards, and if he's gonna get to 1,000, he's gonna need a few games where, you know, he can make up for games where he's not on par. So expect Mike Evans to be looked to early and often, and I expect Mike Evans to find the end zone.
Yeah, no, I gotta respect that. I mean, it's Mike Evans. That's anytime you pick Mike Evans to do anything in a football game, it's a good pick.
All right. Well, that's gonna wrap this one up. We appreciate y'all tuning in if you made it to this point, and let us know down in the comments section your picks for this Monday night game, and then leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're not, because in just a few hours we're gonna have our second Monday night video dropping between the Chargers and the Raiders. So stay tuned for that one. This game's kicking off at 9 p.m. Eastern, and then the second one between the Chargers and the Raiders is going to be kicking off at 10 p.m. Eastern. So it's a late one, but we're still going to be pushing it out. And Dean, you got anything else you want to say?
Got nothing else, my friend.
All right. Well, appreciate y'all as always. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Peace.